There's a few things I'd be thinking. We've got good playbooks now from Canterbury and also from Kaikoura, and there are elements of both that actually are relevant here. The first thing is we do need targeted short-term wage support that's actually designed to be able to get people moving from where they sit today in a pretty hopeless place to a place connected to hope. They've got to be able to take those steps forward. The second thing is I do think there's a need for us to revisit immigration settings. For example, an RSE worker today working on clean-up is actually illegal, and so how can we make those tweaks really effective? We've got forestry workers that are paid by the hour that now can't get into the forest that could be redeployed as workforce as well. I think there's a need for the banks to come forward and really make sure that they will stand with those customers of theirs, particularly those orchardists that takes 3 years to rebuild. I think there is a need for some emergency powers so we can actually set up, construction consortiums like we saw in Kaikoura on steroids, make sure that we've got dedicated leadership as well. So those are the sorts of things that I think, the government's been thinking about, which is good, but we've got to make sure the execution gets done.
Just on the specificity. Is there any room for climate deniers in your pulpit?
Look, if you're denying that climate exists, if you're a climate minimalist, you can be under no illusions it's real.
Maureen Pugh has just said she's yet to see evidence climate change is man-made.
I would be very strongly saying climate change is real and it's happening, and you've only got to look at the events over the last 15 years, 10 years in New Zealand to see that's exactly the case.
Are you going to discipline her for those comments?
I'll be very clear with my team. I have been right from the day one of taking leadership that climate change is real. We are deeply committed to net carbon zero 2050, this is what we're saying.
Do you think when you become a member of Parliament, do you have a responsibility to educate yourself on the big issues that face New Zealand, like climate change? And are you confident your MP is getting information from the right sources? Is that an appropriate comment to say?
Look, from my perspective, it's just no doubt about it. As a business person before coming into political life, I fully agree climate change is real. It's happening. Business have a responsibility, communities have a responsibility, government has a responsibility. As I just said, my position is pretty clear. If you're a climate denier or a climate minimalist today, that's just not an acceptable position.
So it's not an acceptable position for your MP to say that she's still waiting for evidence of climate change?
I disagree strongly. I've seen the evidence. I've seen it up front. I've dealt with businesses that have had to adjust to climate change all around the world and also here in New Zealand. And so for me, it's very real. I've spoken to communities on the ground. Go look at Ashburton floods. Go look at what we've seen. And
Does she need
so what are you going to do about it
We'll
though?
have a conversation. But I've been really clear with my caucus about my views around climate change and my commitment to it. It's real. It's happening.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald. Click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.